Hello everybody, back on the road this week. Yes, we're in beautiful Maastricht in the far southeast corner of the Netherlands. Got the river flowing behind, the old town over there, and that can only mean one thing. Yes, it's time for the Amstel Gold Race. We'll have a full recap of both races later on, plus we'll be seeing action from Italy and Belgium, and we'll find out who might have become a footballer if he hadn't have been shown a red card first. Luckily for us, he was a cyclist, and no, we don't have the images from VAR, unfortunately. Now, I began this week arriving back in Belgium just 5 days after I'd left, but it had been a little longer down in Italy at the Giro d'Abruzzo since they'd had the last race there. 17 years had passed since it was last on the calendar, and taking advantage of a pause for the Giro di Sicilia, the race was back. In the Adriatic city of Pescara, Enrico Zanoncello won the opening bunch sprint to take the first leader's blue jersey. It was the Italian's first ever win on European soil. Looking to pass an audition for a place in the VF Group Bardiani team for the Giro D'Italia, Zanoncello began day 2 in that leader's jersey, but he'd end it handing over to Jan Christen, the latest teenage sensation to transfer talent to triumph. The 19-year-old Swiss taking his first ever pro race victory. Now, what do Alexei Lutsenko and the retired British professional Ian Stannard have in common? Well, on the main mountain stage to Prati di Tivo, the Kazakhstani found himself isolated with a handful of UAE Emirates riders for company. But just like Yogi himself versus QuickStep, and at the Omloop Nieuwsblad all those years ago, Lutsenko saw off all the attacks to take the win and to take that leader's jersey. To Thursday's final stage, and there was hardly any flat on a course designed to take the riders to L'Aquila in the heart of the Italian Apennines. UAE tried to hit back after their defeat on the mountain the day before, putting young Christen, still within over 2 minutes of the GC lead, into the day's breakaway. That forced Astana to control the race, and control it they did. Or rather, one man did. Their GC leader Lutsenko found himself at the front of the race on the final big climb, with both George Bennett and Pavel Sivakov for company. All three rode together. Sivakov would beat Bennett in the final sprint, and the man from Astana, Kazakhstan would take the overall title. Quite the win against all the odds. Over in Belgium in the middle of the week, quite surprisingly after the spring or lack of it they've had, it was certainly in the air. Beautiful weather for Brabantse Pijl as everybody lined up in the middle of Leuven. The race between the cobbles and the hills takes place in the Brabant and crisscrosses the Belgian language border. It's always an entertaining watch, and on the final few laps around Overijse, this is what happened. After having finished on the podium on 3 previous occasions, Frenchman Benoit Cosnefroy was hoping to finally stand on the top step. He made a move early, but missed it when Tim Wellens, Dylan Teuns and Marijn van den Berg then went away. Cosnefroy rejoined the game just before the grand finale and was more than good enough to blow the small group away on the final sprint. That after a late Van den Berg attack had been caught. A 9th win of the season for Decathlon Age d'Azur, already matching their entire 2023 total. The women's race began in Lennik and saw an even more aggressive finale. The Lidl Trek versus Estée Works battle of the spring again raged on, and with Eliso Longo-Borghini back after having skipped Roubaix, the American squad had an Italian champion to pit against a Dutch flag bearer in Demi Vollering on the cobbled Moskestraat. You might remember the climb from the World Championships, and it was neck and neck up the final time there, but with the penultimate climb to ride, Longo-Borghini decided she didn't want to wait any longer. The move was made, and that was that. Longo-Borghini back to doing what she does best, winning alone. Following, and 3rd place taken by Alex Manley from a bunch kick behind. The top 2 in the midweek would again be protagonists at the weekend, when the bunch moved across the border to the Netherlands to contest the Amstel Gold Race. The race would be conditioned, however, by a crash in front of the race involving a police officer on a motorcycle. They would be taken to hospital and the road ahead closed for an investigation. After a neutralisation lasted over an hour, the riders rode to the finish line, where the start would again be given. A short 3-lap race totalling just over 55 kilometres would then start. The change in route changed the race, and those who might be able to win it. And there were attacks from the off. The main move of the day involved Eva van Aert, Jara Kastelein and Ricardo Bauernfeind, the latter two being Tour de France stage winners. The gap grew to over a minute at one stage. Attacks came on each of the three passages of the Kauberg, but until the final kilometres, nobody could agree on who would chase. Lidl Trek and Estée Works, yes, the usual suspects again, eventually came to the fore, with Lucinda Brand, Ellen van Dijk and even Lotte Kopecky, the world champion, all in Deluxe Domestique mode. Follering would commit to set up a sprint for Lorena Wiebes. She was about to win easily, she thought she'd won easily, but therein lay the problem. A premature celebration, a bike throw from the brilliant Marianne Vos, and an embarrassing, heartbreaking and calamitous moment for Wiebes, all rolled into one. A day no rider involved would forget, and for the record, it was win number 251 for Vos, a second in the Amstel Gold. For the men, there were 33 hills and over 250 kilometres to be taken on, almost 3,500 metres of climbing, but no defending champion Pogačar to ride away. There was a Van der Poel 5 years on from that win. The day's four-man break was caught inside 80 kilometres to go, but the ever smaller bunch was together inside the final 40 Ks when Mark Hirschi went, followed by another 10 riders, including two-time podium finisher Tom Pidcock, Tish Benoot and others, but not, crucially, the world champion. The group was whittled down to 4 men inside the last 15 Ks. Mauri van Sevenant trying to save Soudal-QuickStep Spring, joining the 3 aforementioned riders. EF Education Easy Post wanted to give Van den Berg a chance in the sprint, working to reduce a deficit that was just over half a minute. He would then hit the fence though, and any chance of the main group returning would disappear with that error. The 4 attackers away did play tactical games, but not enough to let chaser Paul Lapera back into it. The Frenchman would have to settle for 5th, as Van Sevenant led out the sprint, that meant he'd be 4th, and Hirschi would be comfortably beaten by Pidcock, leaving Benoot finishing 3rd. Achievement unlocked, and the unfinished business put to bed by the Yorkshireman. Tom Pidcock had been beaten in a controversial photo finish by Wout van Aert in 2021. A 5th career win on the road for the multidiscipline star, and a much-needed victory for the Ineos Grenadiers. So another big week done and dusted, some tremendous results for the teams involved. Now, during the middle of the week, there was a rare pause for me, and I took advantage of that in Belgium to go and meet up with a rider who just recently retired and almost didn't become a cyclist at all, despite having lots of family history in it. That man wanted to be a footballer. That man is Nathan Van Hooydonck. So we're here in Antwerp. Nat, it's nice to see you again after you worked with us the other week.
Thank you.
Much more relaxed day this day. How are you?
Yeah, I'm quite good actually. I'm enjoying a coffee in a cycling bar in Antwerp, so yeah, what can go wrong?
Yeah, we're in the wonderful Vitesse, by the way, if you're in town, just around the corner from Antwerp Centraal Station. Right then, you've always been in cycling. You've always been surrounded by cycling. Your father was professional. Your uncle was professional. 2-time winner of the Ronde van Vlaanderen.
Yeah.
I was commentating yesterday, Brabantse Pijl. He's the record holder of that race 4 times.
Yeah. I'm surprised you know it.
Oh, no, you have to know these things. You have to know these things. How did you get into it? Did it just happen? Were you always going to be a cyclist?
Actually, I started with playing soccer, but I wasn't as I dedicated the last 3 years of my career being a helper and being a good teammate. I wasn't a really good teammate when I was playing soccer. I really wanted to win, and all my teammates they didn't really mind, and I couldn't really cope with it. So one day or another I got a red card. So then I decided to quit, and I started cycling. Yeah.
What position did you play?
I was a left forward, and I was playing all the time because I was the only lefty in my team. So that was actually quite good.
It's funny, Matteo Jorgensen, who's just moved to Visma-Lease bike, talked openly in the press this week. He's a great talker, by the way. Just about the lengths that the team will go to prepare for altitude camps. He was talking about somebody going to put a kitchen in a room at the top of a volcano in Tenerife because they couldn't cook in the kitchen or something like that. Yeah. And I mean that's a big effort.
It is a big effort. It costs a lot of time and it costs a lot of money. I mean, but it's the hotel Parador on top of the volcano, and the team is not allowed to go into the kitchen. But there's one apartment studio which has a kitchen, but a really small kitchen.
Right.
So they bought electric fryers.
Wow.
They bought a fridge, a freezer, a dishwasher. So they have their mobile kitchen there to cook for the riders, which makes it a lot easier, because everybody has to sit in the restaurant between the tourists, and chances of getting sick and waiting for waiting.
Yeah.
It takes a while to get to lunch or to dinner. So our riders didn't have to wait again. So it's every year they look at what went wrong, or what could we do better, and then they try to improve.
Everyone talks about the boredom up there in the top of the mountains. I mean, most people think of Tenerife and they think of going on the holidays and sitting by the beach. It's very, very different. It's cold up there. It's been snowing recently. I've seen some pictures of teams who've been up there. How do you cope with the boredom in the evenings?
Yeah, Netflix.
Completed it, no?
Yeah, a few times. I've watched Friends, I think 4 or 5 times. So I joke about it with my sister, because she also watched it a few times. No, but that's what we do. We just and I also talk with each other. I mean, sometimes you just want to be by yourself if you had a rough day or a training didn't go as you wanted, but also then talking with your teammates and your friends, because that's where teammates become friends on 3 weeks on altitude together. So I think that's that's really special. But yeah, sometimes it's quite boring. Yeah.
Let's get into those leaders then, because I asked you about Greg and Wout. Have a good sip of your coffee because you might need it. There's 2 big guys I want to ask you about now, of course. There's Primož Roglic, who you won that first Vuelta with, and your good friend, Jonas. What's the difference between the two working for them?
It's I don't really know if there's a really big difference, because Primož is really, he knows what he wants. He doesn't say a lot. He's a different leader than Jonas, for sure. It's hard to put to words, but with Primož you just knew when he was gonna win, and he knew when he was good because he had the experience.
Yeah.
And with Jonas, you also know he's good, but sometimes he still needs like a little bit of confirmation. So he needs a few stages to really think like, okay, I can win. I'm good. I'm in good shape. Yeah. And which Primož, he knew it off the numbers already. He said, I did it last year. I won, so my numbers are better. I should win again. Kind of like this. Yeah. So, but I think also Jonas, he really developed that way. He became a better leader after the Tour of 2022, where he won. So, yeah, I only did a few races with Primož. The Vuelta was actually our first race together.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah. So that's also where I got to meet him for the first time, and where our bond grew a little bit. So yeah, there's just a few differences, but I think GC leaders are kind of similar, and classic leaders are. Wout, he's a tall guy. He has a lot of charisma. I don't know if that's an English word, but
of course it is.
And Jonas is a small climber, so it's also like the person behind it's completely different.
Goes with the body types sometimes.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Obviously, Jonas has since moved on. Difficult to be in the team at that time, or was it overblown in the media, all of that? You know, Jonas is leaving, and the Vuelta last year with 1, 2, and 3 on the podium.
You mean Primož?
Yeah, Primož left, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, was there a bad atmosphere, or was that just the media talking about that?
Actually, I didn't see it that way. I think it was for sure the media, but I think, everything that happened in the Vuelta didn't make it any easier for the team, nor for Primož, because he's an achiever. He really wants to win. He wants to win the Vuelta 7 times if he can, and it's his right to do so. Where Jonas is a little more personal, and it was like, I realized what Sep has done for me, and I really want him to win this Vuelta, which is also very nice. So it's. I was obviously in the hospital, so I didn't really I wasn't with the team when it all happened. I think the riders that were in the Vuelta, they experienced it quite differently.
Well, come on to that then, because obviously you're now retired. for the viewers looking and seeing this for the first time, what happened last year?
Yeah, I had a heart attack while driving the car with my then still pregnant wife next to me. So yeah, it meant the end of my career, and actually I was dead for a little bit. It's hard to say, and it's weird to say also, but that's just how it was, or how it is. So since then I've been retired, and my wife gave birth just straight after to a beautiful son. So yeah.
What a mix of emotions.
Highs and lows.
To the extremes, I would say. How have you coped with it? Are you okay?
Yeah, it goes better day by day. I mean, in the beginning it wasn't easy for sure, and I wanted too much too soon. I wanted to start straight away my second career.
Yeah.
In I don't know what. I still don't know really, but I've taken a few steps back. I enjoy doing this, and I really did enjoy doing the commentary in London. I drive guests and sponsors for the team still, so I get to be at the races, but I also get to be far away enough, so it's not too confronting. Like, you know what I mean? It's so yeah, I mean, it's again ups and downs, highs and lows, day in, day out. That's just how life goes, I think, really.
But publicly, at least, you seem to have taken it very well in your stride, as well as well as you can do.
No, of course. And I also realized that if I want to make something of my second career, I need to do it myself. I mean, there's nobody else who's going to do it for me. So it's hard at times. It's certainly not easy, but I just try to do my best and try to find something I really like to do.
I'm sure everyone will agree. Anybody who watched Strade Bianche earlier this year when Nathan was on with us, that he did a very good job. So, you know, we're going to issue what they're saying in soccer and football, a come and get me plea. So come and work for us whenever you want. We'd love to have you. Let's put you on the spot then, because your team this year, Visma-Lease bike, they've just had a horrible 2 weeks. Oh. You're in pundit mode now, working with us. How are they going to recover from this, and how's the season going to be reshaped? Because obviously there's injuries to Van Aert and Vingegaard, which personally for you as good friends must have been worrying, obviously on a sporting side. Plus, one of the bosses is leaving in Marijn Zeeman. What happens now for Visma-Lease bike?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think they are very good at crisis management. So, I mean, the team was flying up until all the bad luck started. I mean, they won the opening weekend, Tirreno and Paris-Nice, which is also again writing sports history. What they done last year. Then all the bad luck started. They really need to try and find a way to go ambitious to the Giro if Wout isn't going there, and we'll just have to see how Jonas recovers towards the Tour. I think now they still need to look day by day to see how the recovery of their two best riders go, and then they need to they can really make a strategy for those races. And then with Marijn leaving, I mean, it's I don't think people realize how important he is for the team. Okay. For me, he was a really important person within the team. Although we didn't have so much contact. We had contact before the bigger races. He wasn't my coach. He wasn't my DS. But he knew what to say at the right time and to the right person as well. So he'll be missed. That's for sure.
Well, we'll look forward to it. Nathan, we could talk all day, but I'm going to leave some of it for when you come and join us again. Okay. Thanks very much for being with us on the Gruppetto, and we'll see you again soon.
Thank you.
Cheers. Well, such an interesting guy, such a short career, but a big influence in some of the biggest races. And I've got another expert with me now. It's Hannah Walker from Eurosport. Hannah, great listening to Nathan. Great to have you here in Maastricht. Of course, we've been at the Amstel Gold Race. Coming up, though, it's time for the Ardennes, isn't it? What is coming up? Who can our viewers watch at First Flesh, the annual uphill Mort de Huy roll, and then down to Liège in the big one, the Doyenne?
Yeah, it's going to be fantastic, isn't it? And I think once we've got the Spring Classics out of the way, it doesn't stop. You've got the Ardennes Triple to look forward to. And so really doesn't stop. And I think once you get to this week and you get to Flèche Wallonne the midweek on the Wednesday, and then of course with Liège on the Sunday, it's almost a part of the season of two halves, because some riders are still competing from the Spring Classics. You've got other riders who are coming with really fresh legs. And so it's a really interesting triple header, I think. And so for me, you look at Flèche Wallonne, for example, on the men's side, Mathieu van der Poel not racing, but you've got Quinten Hermans, you've got Axel Laurent, who both of those riders could have their opportunity to shine. Groupama FDG with, of course, David Gaudu, who's just won a Jura on Saturday. His form is showing. They've obviously had some great results with Lenny Martinez on Friday too. So I think it's going to be very, very interesting. And then, of course, the return of Tadej Pogačar for Liège-Bastogne-Liège.
Well, he's coming down from altitude just to race for Liège before he goes to the Giro. On the women's side, what can we see happen? Because we've seen a really big fight this spring, haven't we? Lidl Trek have been outstanding. Yes, Esther Works are still there, but it's certainly been much more of a fair fight, hasn't it?
I think it has, and I really think that it's been this battle that we've needed. And I certainly think for Lidl Trek with Elisa Longo-Borghini, who forgone her chance in Paris-Roubaix, for example, where she was in sublime form, that we saw that in the Tour of Flanders. And when I was talking to one of the members of staff, they were saying, no, we're going to keep the race schedule exactly the same. We're not going to make any changes just because she'd won the Tour of Flanders for Roubaix. And it's all for the Ardennes. It's all for bigger goals in the season too. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how Elisa Longo-Borghini goes in Flèche Wallonne and, of course, Liège-Bastogne-Liège. But, of course, that duo between her and Gaia Reolini. But it's not going to be easy because you've got Cassia Nuviadoma, for example, of Canyon SRAM, who she's really cherry-picked her races this year, and I think it's really benefited her. Of course, that second place at Flanders. When I spoke to her post-race, you could tell it felt like a win for her. And so I really think for a race like Flèche, and even Liège actually, I really think we should be looking at Cassia, and I think Canyon SRAM are going to have a really, really strong showing.
Well, they'll be here with all of their leaders, and that's a great thing at the minute. There's several leaders in several teams. You just don't know who's going to come out and take the win.
And then, of course, let's not forget SD Works Pro Time. We've not even spoken about them. Can Damie try and repeat the triple? Yeah,
well, we'll see who she's riding for next year as well. That's the other thing that's cooking as we head towards the Grand Tours, because the women's Vuelta is going to get the Grand Tour season underway. Then we've got the men's Giro d'Italia. You'll be on the ground there, I think, with us.
I will. I'll be on the ground at the Giro d'Italia, so very much looking forward to that, seeing how Tadej Pogačar goes in his first attempt at the Giro d'Italia. And it's going to be very, very exciting. Very much looking forward to it, and it's two and a bit weeks away.
Well, the final preparations for that are going to be live on Eurosport Discovery Plus, and for you US viewers on Max this week as well. Adam Blythe will be alongside me in the commentary box for the Tour of the Alps. That starts, well, it's probably started by the time you're watching this. It starts with the first stage on the Monday, runs through to the Friday. Remember, Flèche Wallonne men's and women's on the Wednesday as well. That's on Eurosport and Discovery Plus. Plus, at the weekend, Liège-Bastogne-Liège, Sunday, men's, then women's, all live. And a demand as well, if you need to watch it afterwards, you might be doing other things. Eurosport and Discovery Plus. This week, we had our first ever watch-along with the guys from the What's Occurring podcast, powered by Eurosport, sharing some of their wisdom alongside our coverage of Amstel Gold.
You watching?
Yeah.
Fireworks.
Vodka, no?
Good man.
He's a big listener of the pod, mate. Remco's right hand man. He rooms with Remco. Best buds.
So we've got 3 riders just clipping off here, and who's having to chase in the peloton? Alpecin. So this is what teams are trying to do. Before you can beat that one guy, Van der Poel, first of all you have to get rid of his team. And you can see they're trying to expose his team already. Any moves that go up the road. If I'm any other rider from any other team, I'm going, it's not on me, mate. You got the world champion, you got the man in form. So it's being left down to Alpecin. So I think a lot of teams will have that in mind and try and siphon through some of his teammates, put them under pressure, and then the best way to beat Van der Poel is numbers.
Look out for more from Geraint Thomas and Luke Rowe throughout the season, and check out What's Occurring, powered by Eurosport. From us, though, in Maastricht, from Hannah, from Nate, from everybody, thanks for watching. We just about made the time limit again. Getting closer every week, isn't it? Goodbye from the Gruppetto.